Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Look at this. You know, I woke up this morning, turned over, looked at my phone, and then I remembered that today is actually the day that Konami's releasing the OCG ban list. This is not our ban list in the TCG, but it can give us some insight as to some of what we might see coming up for us, because generally speaking, aside from a couple of definite differences in our formats, we do kind of follow behind them schedule-wise on like product releases and decks that are good. So we'll take a look here. This feels like the kind of list where they would go after Snake Eye. Snake Eye's kind of, I don't want to say dodged completely, but kind of made out pretty well from two straight ban lists in the OCG, while being like clearly the best deck in the game for those two ban lists. And this feels like the third one, maybe the one where they actually give them the business, but we will see. Let's get into it though. I don't know the OCG format super thoroughly. I mean, I follow along, I keep up with OCG deck lists that are interesting for decks that I want to check out, and just overall their format, but not like super in depth. So keep that in mind. Keep me straight in the comments if there's anything I'm not talking on super tight knowledge. So let me know. All right. Straight ban cards. We start here with two pretty good ones in my opinion. I know the Catapult Turtle FTK has kind of been becoming a thing. I had heard rumors about it. I haven't even looked into like exactly how it works, but sure, nip it in the bud. FTK decks are decks that create non-games in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where just one player plays, the other one doesn't. That's not what we want. So cool. Nip that in the bud. I don't even care how good it is or not. Just get it out of here. Next up, Kaiser Coliseum. Again, another like no game creating card. I like this as well. This is mostly like a runic stun deck in the format, but I guess there might be other decks that also mess around with it, but runic stun's the main one, and that deck actually performs a little too well in the OCG, so I like kind of going after them this way, leaving runic alone as an engine, but kind of just going after the really degenerate stuff that they do. Kaiser Coliseum's definitely there. So I'm cool with that. That is it for bans, which really worries me, because like I feel like Snake Eye limiting and semi-limiting Snake Eye cards is not going to be enough, because they just have so many different cards that give them combo. So we'll see. All right, next up here, limited cards. Plush Fire, cool. Goes to 1. It's got its new errata. It's once per turn. It's hard once per turns now on its effects. Still a decent card for what it is. Just not world breaking. So we're cool. Kieran, this one's so dumb. Why? Konami, why? Not why did you release this, but why are you releasing this so late? You made support for this guy's archetype. He is the boss monster of a fun archetype that you made support for three core sets ago, and you just waited this long. Like when the hype was the highest and you could have smoothly transitioned straight into, whoa, new support for Magispector, and then your ban list came out right around the time of that course that I remember, and nothing came, and it didn't take him off. Why take him off now? If you were gonna dodge it then, why even do it now? Like all that hype is like died. Whatever. I guess better late than never, but like I don't get it. Jeez and rice, man. What is this? This is so bad. What is this? Man, I guess I'm glad I played in the TCG, because the OCG ban lists suck, man. These are so bad. Okay. Beatrice. These to me come off as like warning signals more than anything else. They're kind of warning the player base. Hey, these may not be around much longer. They put SB to 2 on the last list, I think. And so nobody played 3. Most 90% of deck lists probably don't play 2. Maybe there are some people that are like, it's a really helpful card for my deck that doesn't have great removal, easy to get into, sure. Sometimes you may want that second one. But even then, that's like utility at that point. Like that's not even like 1 is what matters. Like honestly, like those decks going from 2 to 1 does not really hurt them that much at all. And Beatrice, I can't remember the last time I saw a deck list with more than one Beatrice in it, whether it was at 1 or not. I get it, it's not hard once per turn, so like theoretically you can make multiple. It's like extra strong, just getting like a million sends from deck. But I can't remember the last time I saw a deck 1 trying to make 2 or even playing 2 in the first place. So It is what it is. You could argue Beatrice is the most powerful thing that the Fiendsmith, a new generic engine, allows you to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! But they're only making one. And as long as it's at one, that doesn't change anything about the deck. So, okay. Like, it just doesn't do anything. So, yeah. And then same, like, these just don't do anything, I feel like, overall. Like, sure, SP maybe, like, 5 to 10% of the decks that maybe messed around with playing 2 copies, you only play 1. That really isn't even a real hit. To me, these are like warning signals, at best, right? They're just warning their player base, hey, maybe these might not be legal at all soon. Maybe, but like, okay, sure. These are nothing hits, basically, to me. All right, next one. This one makes a little bit more sense. Now, the problem here is, like, Konami in the OCG loves to do consistency hits. We don't really like doing that in the TCG because it just ends up pushing problems down the line that don't even end up getting solved that way. Or it's just not the best way to solve them anyway. Okay, so Snake Eye Ash going from 2 to 1. It was already at 2. Did nothing. They've still clearly been the best deck in the game. They get Snake Eye Ash. I don't think this does much to them either. Realistically, it's just really tiny consistency hits, but they just gained consistency in the last core set. The Fiendsmith engine, basically, I think almost every Fiendsmith card in the Fiendsmith engine is basically a 1-card Snake Eye combo. So, what are we doing? Like, this does nothing. Right? So, you know, they just gained a bunch of consistency, and now they take away 1 more copy of your Snake Eye Ash. I guess. I don't know. This one again, like, this is just not really much of a hit. This is not going to be enough. Since we're already in the limits, I don't expect there to be that much more for Snake Eye. This guy, I don't even know enough about Gimmick Puppet. I'm sure this is part of the FTK. I would hope that the FTK included making this card multiple times, and so maybe by putting it at 1, now that it can't make it multiple times and achieve an FTK at that point, that's what I can hope. I don't know enough about it. Fill me in the comments on this card. Hopefully this has to do with an FTK. If it does, I like it. I like this hit, because FTKs are dumb. But create non-games, that's what we want to avoid. Last 2 hits here in the limited section, we have Sangan Summoning. This is the strongest card in Tenpai Dragon by far, just because it's an engine card. It's a 1.5 card engine card that gets you any monster in your deck, and also gives them really, really strong protection. So taking this card out does a couple things. One, just takes away the degenerate card they're going to see more often, so you don't have to deal with it. But I think the bigger thing, actually, is that by lowering this card by multiple copies here, they're not going to hard open it as much. They can still search it off of Pydora, but they're not going to open it. And if they don't open it, it means your Veilers, your Imperms, your Ashes are so much more impactful now in the main phase, right? Because you're actually going to keep them off of it. You can actually keep this card off of this completely by hitting them with those hand traps, which means you can interact with them in the battle phase if they don't get to this card. So that's actually like a low-key nice one, because this is a card that they were already always playing like 4 copies of. So now they go down to 2. They're just not nearly hard drawing this as consistently anymore. I like it because it's not going for like a full-on consistency hit. It's going on like you can interact with them better, because they're not going to hard see this and they want to get to this kind of card. So I actually think this is like not the worst consistency hit ever. It's actually like a decent one. And then Summon Limit. This card's dumb. This card should be banned. This is another card that just it creates non-games. It's only played in like stun decks or hard-sided for going first to just auto-win you games where your opponent never gets to play. This is a card that shouldn't be a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cool with that. There's a couple of those hits on here that I like a lot. A couple FTK hits, a couple of dumb Floodgate hits. Those are really nice. But the actual like format hits are not clean. I actually like this hit. I actually think this hit's cool, because I don't want them to lose this card, because I think the deck's may be unplayable if this card doesn't exist at all. But I actually do like making it so they don't hard draw it as often. All right, semi-limits, all of the dragon rulers. Cool. This is fine. I think they're all fine to go to 3, honestly. Like, I think Tidal and Tempest are the best ones. Yeah, overall, but like still, none of these are crazy. Blasters, like, actually cheeks. Redox is okay. Like, they're okay. Title's the best one, I think, overall, but water decks aren't, like, going crazy or anything, or have anything to, like, super abuse a Foolish Burial off of this card with anyway, so it's totally fine. No big deal there. Quick Fix goes from 1 to 2. This is a deck that does nothing. I don't think the difference is 1 copy of Quick Fix. On the next list, we'll probably see him go to 3, and nothing will change again for them. And Bonfire. So actually, interesting hit with Bonfire. They're putting this from 3 to 2. So their hits for Snake Eye here on this ban list are Ash from 2 to 1 and Bonfire from 3 to 2. So they do go from 5 total copies of Ash to 3, which is still a 3 of in a deck. So that's not even terrible. But again, just like I said, you're taking 2 consistency cards away from the deck, but they just added 5 with the Fiendsmith engine. Generally, that's the count, right? It's just 3 the Fiendsmith, 1 Tractus, and 1 Lurie. That's generally like the simple engine they play. And I don't think any of those cards are... Well, Lurie, I guess, is sort of a brick. But for the most part, those cards are pretty clean. They don't actually like conflict with much. So it makes me sit here and go, like, why? Why with this? What does this actually do? Like, there's small consistency hits, but like they just added a bunch of consistency. So I don't know. I don't think this really changes much for them. I think they're clearly still the best deck in the game. Alright, and then Unlimits. Looks like a bunch of non-factor stuff. That's like cool that they're trimming it off the list, but whatever. So Glow Bulb goes to 3. The difference between 1 and 3 Glow Bulb is like nothing, basically. You can only be scared of this card for Naturia Beast, basically. Other than that, it's not a problem. Ib, difference between 1 and 3 Ib, not important. You're basically summoning this turn 1 to get your plays going, and that's basically it. Colossus. Colossus is a little scary, because with multiple Colossus now, I believe he was still at 1 prior to this. Well, it'll tell me down here. Thunderhound Colossus, restricted to released. Yeah, so, yeah, so he was at 1, and now he's at 3. This does make it so Thunder Dragon decks can actually end on multiple Colossus boards. That actually might be a problem, because, like, a good amount of decks can find 1 Colossus out without searching. But 2 Colossus outs without searching, you better hope you had a card that was like a complete, like it stops both at the same time, because having 2 separate ones is a little tough. That's a little annoying, but like, again, this deck was doing like nothing. So, unless they're also releasing like Thunder Dragon support that makes them significantly better, I don't think this is that big of a deal. Orpha Scorpio, this card is so outdated. It's an engine that plays like a hard Garnet, where if you draw it, the engine is dead. Yes, it searches generic fusions, but uses your normal. It's like, it's just not an engine that people are going to mess with going forward anymore. And then Time Seal, another like whatever card. I guess some decks could mess around with siding this going first, but like, I don't see it. Like, I can see something like weird, like Ice Barrier playing this, siding this for when you go first, because Ice Barrier draws 4 cards through its combo. So you go like super plus. So if you're so plus anyway, drawing 1 or 2 copies of these, this is basically just 1 for winning a card out of your opponent's hand. So I can see that, but like, again, I don't think it's the best use of side deck energy and uses. So yeah, I don't think that's the move. But there you go. There's your whole list. It's interesting. There's a lot of hits here, a lot of movement here, but I don't feel like it's that impactful. Yes, they hit some of the nice, like, degenerate side of what their format currently had going on, but it doesn't hit the clear problem of, like, Snake Eye's been running their format for 2 formats in a row, and now it looks like they just gifted them a 3rd, basically. Unless something comes out of not Infinite Forbidden, unless a new deck comes out of Rage of the Abyss that like clearly rivals them and like actually shakes up what the format is, I just see it being another Snake Eye format. And I think there's an argument that Tenpai on this list got more worse, like took a bigger hit than Snake Eye did. And Tenpai was the 2nd best deck. So now the 2nd best deck got more like hit than the 1st best deck, which seems insane to me. But we'll see where it goes. I don't think it's going to lead to too much, and I think some of their players may be frustrated. I think I would if I was in their position and got a list like this. But I don't know. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything I maybe just misinterpreted just because I don't pay super close attention to the OCG? Let me know. I'd love to be corrected on that and be, on top of those things there. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.